Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for coming. It's nice to have you here. Today, I'd like to introduce to you our latest novice from Korea. She's not here. Well, you see a strange face walking around, dressed in novice clothing. That's in gray, if you will. That's our trainee from Korea. Where is she? Is she in the kitchen or something? Or okay, she's helping out in the kitchen. It's a good thing. Novices are, in our world, novices are peons. That's a nice word. The actual word is flunkies. They're supposed to be ordered around. They're supposed to work, and that's part of the training. Training for novices are basically to work first. And that's how they get trained. In particular, we had to bring her from Korea here is because Korea environment is very nice, very polite, very forgiving. Environment at Wei Mountain Temple is much harsher, much harder, much more demanding. Our people here are known to be very nasty. So that's why we love to bring the novices here so that they can endure the hardship of the training. It turns out that as I get older, I'm kinder. I'm learning to be kinder and more patient. In my early days at Lu Mountain Temple, you asked them, I was a lot more scary, if you will, much harsher, more stern. But nowadays, I'm too stressed out to be stern anymore. Okay, so just a few observations. This novice here, when she came last year to Wei Mountain Temple from Korea, she was a lay person, of course, and now she looks nicer without hair. Do you agree or not? The glasses are not, they don't look good on her face. And without glasses, her face looks very nice. She's kind of pretty. And then another observation is that her skill level increased recently. I don't know whether it's the Korean abbot or something. He did something to impress us. I don't know, but I'm glad to see that she improved. In our world, when you come to our temple, when you personally participate in our Dharma events, our classes, our jobs is to help you improve, help everyone who shows up, whether you children, adults, elderly people or not. Our job is to help you improve, okay? One way or the other. So when I see someone improve, it tickled me pink. It doesn't matter your level. If you improve, that shows that my disciples, my students, we are doing something right by you. So it's a good thing. So I'm very pleased to see her improve, and I hope that she'll continue here. She'll be here for a few months. Another observation is that she's a little bit older. So in the past, for older people, I left them alone, meaning that we basically tolerate them, because once you you lead the home life, you have to learn the ways of left home people, especially our style of our lifestyle is much more demanding than the typical left home people lifestyle. So that it's kind of hard for old people who are set in the ways to change the ways. However, so with her, we're gonna observe her and see if she can adjust. The idea here is I hope that she can adjust. If she makes the effort, makes a commitment to adjust, then we will not hold back. We will train her the way that we want to train her, okay? The way she's supposed to be trained. So that is to tell her and tell all of you trainees that it's up to you. I will train you, we will train you if you're willing to be trained. In particular for elderly, older people, we are more lenient, more lax in that way. Okay? And because you have a long life, now it's your time to enjoy the fruit of your life, so we understand that, and you choose to shave your head and become a level person, we respect that, and we will be more lax towards you, okay? But if you are willing to be trained, like the old monk there in San Jose, he's in his, I think he looks like he's in 90s or something. I still train him occasionally, okay? So anyway, so that's the way it is. We put a lot of emphasis on training because our training is different from the way I learned from my teacher. I was trained initially as a novice by the Chinese system, by Master YongHua system, and I was fortunate enough to be in that system for 4 years, and then in the end didn't work out, so I left. I was forced out, but I learned a lot, and I intend on being harsher than the way that I was trained. Our emphasis is more to help build your foundation for the sudden teaching. Now, my master did not transmit yet. Okay, I'm younger than he, but I'm a lot more impatient. So I can't wait forever. So in Mahayana, in Chan in particular, training our style is more on the sudden teaching style in everything, whether it's Chan training or Pure Land or whatever. Okay, so that's what we are. So finally, the final comment is that as part of training, I would like the Abbot of Korea do join the training session by hosting the classes that explains that book on the novice precepts. Okay, I think I trained him already at Lu Mountain Temple, and some of them. As of today, I want him to be the host of that class. So it's going to be a joint video class between Korea and here, and San Jose as well, because I would like the 3 Vietnamese to be the main teachers for those classes. Arrange them to be as often as possible to explain the 10 novice precepts for all the novices, meaning everyone who's not fully ordained should attend it, or this is one who's waiting in the wings to lead the home life in Korea, she may attend it as well. So Master Z will be the host of that. He'll be assisted by the abbot of San Jose, another Vietnamese monk. He's in his 90s, as I said, I think. And then he will be assisted by his assistant, the vice abbot of San Jose, Master L as well. Okay, so those three Vietnamese we're hosting this class for now. And I would like all the Koreans to attend as well, because per our style, the novice training is a very important part of our foundation training. So it doesn't matter if you are a novice or a fully ordained monk or nun, I'd like you to attend it. Okay, in particular, as it looks right now, the Koreans just outnumbered the Vietnamese already. So we're becoming a Korean temple. Yes, I know, unfortunately. So let the Koreans take over, let Koreans try to catch up to the Vietnamese. Okay? Is that clear? Okay? I would like the Koreans to catch up to the Vietnamese and maybe surpass them. So a little bit of rivalry between the Vietnamese and the Koreans, how's that? Okay? Because as it stands right now, the Vietnamese surpassed Master YongHua disciples already. That's my revenge. Okay. So my three Vietnamese gladiators, I will pit them against any three from my master's disciples generation, my generation. They can fight to the death as far as I'm concerned. Okay. That's why I call them gladiator, because they prepare to die. The Vietnamese are scary. Get used to it. Okay? Yeah. My generation, we are prepared to die. Growing up in a war in Vietnam. Okay. Anyway, so I'd like the Korean Sunims to participate and learn from the Vietnamese and try to figure out, learn from them. Because you learn from me, you can learn from me as well. But you can learn from them how come they progress so fast and surpass everyone in sight. Okay? So that's any questions about that? Okay? Okay, very good. So that's it. No questions, then it's a go. As a proof between the training programs, our Vietnamese left home people far surpass the Vietnamese left home people and my master. So it's even worse. They don't even teach them over there as well. Like they didn't teach me at all. So Koreans, I challenge you to figure out how come, for example, Z within a few years surpass everyone. Okay, there's something for you to learn there. All right, and how come all these Vietnamese are where they are? Okay, in our system, there's no such a thing as seniority. It's all kung fu rank. If you're good enough, I will promote you. I will train you, will teach you accordingly. If you're not good enough, you have to abide your time. Okay? Accrue your blessings until you're worthy to be taught. Is that clear? All right. Today, for the main course, we'd like to watch this short video here on my from my about my late Chinese teacher Master YongHua. Okay, look how happy he is. Okay, look at the full cheeks. And I think it's my first time as well. It's totally unprepared. So I heard about it yesterday, so I said, okay, let's do it today. And just like you, I will be watching for the first time. It's about a reminiscence of one of his students. I call her Scary Nun. She used to terrify me, and I was traumatized. I don't think I ever recovered from that by this woman here. So that's why I taught my disciples to be more gentle. But you hear from her how she recollected her teaching, her learning from this great Chinese monk. Okay, so you hear from his perspective, and then the Dharma he taught. I hope that's what I hope we have a recording of that. Then you get to hear what she got from that. So you see, it's the original teaching, if it's available from Master YongHua, and their interpretation is teaching from his disciple. Okay, and we'll learn about that, about two different levels. Original teaching from a Chinese, from the great teacher, and what his disciple got from that. Okay, to tell you how the Dharma was conferred from one generation to the next. So the title in Chinese is Fa Mai Si Chuan, right? Fa Mai. And in Chinese, unfortunately, the translation, as usual, sucks. Okay? And the translation, bringing in the Dharma West, is nonsense. Okay? Fa Mai Si Chuan. It has nothing to do but bringing the Dharma West. Okay? It's very precise. Okay? I don't know who did the English translation. This is why you non-Chinese speaking or non-Chinese literate people would miss so much depending on their English translation alone. Okay? Here's another spy number 2. That's why they even have to come here to learn from our original English, authentic English translation. Sichuan, okay, Si is west, Chuan is transmit to. It's nothing about bringing a Dharma west at all. Okay, Sichuan is very precise. You transmit the Dharma to the West. You bring the Dharma, is like you bring a basket, your plastic, reusable plastic bag to the supermarket. It's called bringing. The bring of the Dharma to the supermarket. Okay? For me, is transmitting the Dharma to the West. Is that clear? There's a difference. You bring a plastic bag when you transmit the secret, the essence of the teaching to the West. Okay? So, Chuan here is to transmit. It has a connotation of there's a selection process. Okay, when you transmit to specific targets. You don't just transmit in the air. If you transmit in the air, it's called spreading. It's called bringing. Okay? But you transmit to specific recipients. That's what chuan means to me. Okay, again, I'm not Chinese. Chinese people, please correct me. My understanding of Chinese is very, very, very specific to the Dharma. It's not general Chinese understanding at all. Okay? These monks have a specific way of talking, especially in the Chan world. Okay? We talk differently. We have different understanding of these Chinese characters. It's a specialized language in Chan, from my perspective. Fa is Dharma, meaning Mahayana, meaning whatever you want to learn. Okay? You want to learn meditation, that's meditation that we call Chan, not Zen, not anything else. We call it Chan meditation. That's what they're transmitting here. They brought here. They transmit this particular Dharma to the West. Okay? That's Fa. Okay? This is, you could call it Mahayana. Okay? You could call it secret school. It's transmitted here to the West. Yes. And it includes secret school as well. Otherwise, Mahayana is not complete. So he transmitted this Fa here, this Dharma here. This is called all the Mahayana that he understands to the West. Is it clear? You can only transmit what you understand. You select people that you deem worthy to receive whatever you can give, you can pass on. Is it clear? My. Finally, the fourth character is my. My is, what is that? The bloodline. That's what keeps you alive. Is it clear? This is why when we don't want to live anymore, what do? We take a knife and we go, we want to cut it off. Right? This is Fa Mai here. It's very important. Without this bloodline here, the Dharma cannot live. Is it clear? Huh? So this is very important. He's transmitting, he's pulling the bloodline from China to the West, meaning the blood, Mahayana blood. Okay? He piped to the West. So now the Dharma lives in the West. It's no longer in the East. The Dharma lives in the West. Not in China, not in Vietnam, not in Korea. Did he say, Fa Mai, Han Chuan? No, he says Sichuan. Han is Hanguo, which is Korea. No, he says Sichuan. So it transmits to the West. So the bloodline, okay, was continued from China to the West. So now the Dharma bloodline begins in the West. That's why it's so important what Master YongHua did. Okay? And it takes a patriarch to do that. Only patriarchs can bring the bloodline somewhere. Not regular people like myself. Can't do that. I'm not authorized to do that. I'm not qualified to do that. Only patriarchs can do that. Only patriarchs are qualified to do that. All right? So to translate this, bringing the Dharma west is really diluting it. It's like giving you only porridge instead of giving you a 9-course rice dinner. Okay? Agree or disagree? You see how the difference in language, in the Chinese language, is very precise. 法脉细传 here is very precise in Chinese. And yet, when you translate that into bringing the Dharma west, you basically dilute it. It says, big deal. This is a very big deal, folks. For them to bring the bloodline from the west from China to the United States. You know, like right now, physically, well, when we pipe the gas lines or whatever from Russia to West Europe, it's so hard. Okay, they have so many obstructions. So many countries are against it. Like the whatever pipeline that we have right now from Louisiana to somewhere, whatever they call the pipeline. Keystone Pipeline. Thank you very much. There's so much struggle. Canada down here or whatever. Okay. So yes, thank you. You see, so to transmit, to pipe it down is a very difficult thing to do. Monumental task, if you will. Okay? It's huge, huge event. It's a very, very intensive work. Okay? So it's important for you to understand this concept because the Dharma is here in the West, no longer in China, not in Vietnam, not in Korea. You want to learn the true, authentic Dharma, you have to come to the United States, period. That's why I brought that Korean novice here to the West to learn, to get the proper foundation. Okay, let's play it. He has a lot of free time, doesn't he? Sitting and looking at the Golden Gate Bridge. Never could find the time to do that myself. Chinese
One day
people.
the men got the mail. And it was an invitation from the Zen Center in San Francisco that Suzuki Roshi, that's not the one who wrote the book who's famous. It's
That's
Suzuki
scary
Roshi
nun, by the way.
Was the
Look at
head
her
of the
eyes.
Zen Center in San Francisco.
After all these years, the eyes are still like the
was
same.
going to transmit his Dharma to an American, Dick Baker. And so, you know, we got a lot of those invitations, but Shifu would never take us anywhere. But this one, he said he wanted to take us. So he set it up that we were going to go. I can make a long story short, or I can make a long story long. The long story is we looked terrible. We didn't have clothes because the clothes came from Hong Kong and they were for little Chinese people and we were big Americans. And so they didn't fit. You know, they were either too short or not wide enough around or whatever. And they didn't match color. And we didn't have shoes because they didn't make them in the United States. You had to get Sangha Arhat shoes from Asia. And we didn't have money. So we were a motley crew. We really were. And he said, you're going to go with me. So about maybe 8 or 9 of us disciples. The first 5 and the next 4 at least went. And because Shifu was Shifu, he got a place of honor. So there we are in our mismatched everythings, and he marches us in. They march us in almost front and center. And then Baker, Dick Baker, who's going to become Baker Roshi, comes in. And we were quite amused because he looked just about like us. His was Japanese tradition. He was a very big, tall guy, probably 6 foot. So his clothes didn't fit either. He had scrawny legs, and the robe was up about his knees. So anyway, now when I go to that place and I see the room, it's very small, but to me at that time it was a vast room. And so it turns out Suzuki Roshi had cancer of the throat and couldn't speak by that time. And so I remember, now I know because I've been there and I know what I saw then, but what I saw was Dick Baker, who was going to become the Roshi, walked over and up some stairs, and Suzuki Roshi was on the other side of the door, up the stairs. And that's where the transmission took place. They said,
Stop. What transmission is this again? Anyone else?
But something
I missed something here?
And then he came down.
Huh? What's transmission? Is he becoming ordained or leave the home life or what? Huh? Use a microphone, you should know that by now.
I think the master was dying, so he was the next replacement.
This is Japanese thing? Roshi is what? What does Roshi means? Huh? Look it up quickly, people. What's Roshi? White. White.
San Francisco Zen Center. And so Roshi is the head, the highest level, I think, for a master. So
when you hear I think, then you need to Google it for me. Yes, Red.
I think the Chinese character says Dharma master.
Ah, okay. Dharma master. Okay, very good. Mm-hmm. Look at her. Look at her face. It's scary, isn't it? Yes, Daniel. Orange.
I completely agree with you. She's very scary.
You don't think she's scary?
She's very scary.
I think so too, yeah. I still shake when I look at her inside. No wonder he calls her 恒持. 持 is to maintain, so she maintains the order to maintain the discipline that you get punished if you misbehave. Huh? Okay, now we set the background. Let's continue.
The ritual was, because Japanese are very into ritualistic, so the ritual was going to be, he told about his transmission, he gave a little speech, and then they got to ask questions. So he came down and said, it was wonderful. I got my teacher's transmission. He said, there is no high and there is no low. This comes from the Vajra Sutra. Everything is equal and everything is empty. So he went circle, and then he said, I got it, I know what he meant. And so then there were questions. And we're sitting in the front, so we can't see in the back, but it certainly felt to me like it was probably all rehearsed. You know, this person asks a question and Baker Rosie answers and so forth. So it was kind of, you know, 2 or 3 kind of innocuous questions, not much meaning to them. But then somebody stood up in the back, a man, and he said, when I got ready this morning and I clipped my toenails, I didn't know where to put the clippings. And so he asked Baker Roshi, where should I put the clippings? And Baker Roshi sort of did smoke and mirrors because he didn't have an answer. And finally could only, and so he said to the guy, oh, I know, you work in the kitchen. And the guy said, my working in the kitchen has nothing to do with my question. Where should I have put my toenail clippings? And finally Baker Roshi just said, you know, I had the same problem. So it's like a shaggy dog, no good answer, right? Okay, so then we finished. We had tea with Baker Roshi, and then we all went home. And of course, when we get home to Gold Mountain, we're going to debrief. So we had a 5-minute restroom break, and then we had to come back and debrief. Now, the first one to talk is Hung Jing. He's the Jewish guy that left home with us, smart guy. So he says, well, you know, come on. I mean, that question from the cook, Baker Roshi just couldn't answer it. And so, of course, Shifu said, oh, how would you answer it? So Hung Jing had nothing to say. Shifu says, it's really easy. Have you heard this story before? Yeah, you're the only one. They've all heard it. So it's really easy. I would have told him, you just take the clippers and you clip a little circle in the top of your head and lift out your skull, and then you go and you clip out a little bit of your brains, and then you put the toenail clippings there. You're laughing. So what was that? That came from the Sixth Patriarch Sutra. Sixth Patriarch said, in the end, when he taught us how to handle the Dharma, he said, if somebody says day, you answer with night. If somebody says good, you answer with bad. So, the most useless thing probably is our toenail clippings. And the most valuable thing to us is our brain. So the master just did that. That was an example of the 36 pairs of opposites that Sixth Patriarch taught. But what was the principle? The principle, it wasn't just I say this and then you say the opposite. It wasn't Chan banter. What the principle was that if you say something extreme and he follows with something at the other extreme, there's a chance that you come back to the middle in that very moment of...
No. Continue, let's finish this. This is
Stop
unbearable.
When you're over here with the toenail clippings and he says the brain, whoosh, you come back. So that's an example of the middle way, and that's what the Sixth Patriarch was teaching his disciples to use, was that method, so that if people were ready, they could get enlightened when they heard those two opposites and brought them back. And you could have gotten enlightened. I mean, it's not true for telling it, but you could have. Did you? No. Oh, okay.
It's the 36 pairs.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that story. And it was it's another example of his humor, which always has a moral to it. You always learn something. So the lesson from this is
Look at that. See the difference in the eyes, huh? He didn't transmit the eyes to her.
我现在呀，给你们讲这个经，知识啊，好像啊，开一个荒地似的，种下这个种子，将来呀，要你们自己去呀，开辟广大的这个佛教的这种田，下这个菩提种子，你们。
How many people? Quite a few, huh? Wow. Look at that room. It is so ugly and dirty.
Now, in explaining the sutra for you, it is like opening a plot of uncultivated land and planting some seeds. Then, in the future, you can open a vast field yourself for Buddhism and plant Buddhist seeds in it.
About 20 people. Men, women equally, huh? Remember, this is probably taken in the 70s, 60s, 70s. So, still in the hippie era, you know. Yeah. God, this is what they have a Buddha hall? Good Lord, this is hard. Isn't it shocking to you that where the Dharma was transmitted to a dump? Look at that, on the floor. Look at the floor. They're sitting on the floor. Shoes and everything. Okay, continue.
以后每一个人呢，都要有一种自立的思想，不要生出一种依赖性，不要好像恶男似的。释迦牟尼佛要入涅盘了，他就哭起来，就因为依赖性太重了。
As time goes on, you all need to develop the ability to stand on your own. You should not become reliant on me. Don't be like Ananda. When Shakyamuni Buddha was about to enter nirvana, he wept because he was too reliant on the Buddha.
And look at that! Look at the big woodfish and the big bell. God, very cheap. If you have the big woodfish and you paint it, it's cheap wood. Okay, you do not paint good wood. Right? That red thing there is a giveaway. It's cheap stuff. And I can look at the shape of the big bell. I can tell it's very cheaply made. Probably not a single piece like ours. Ours, we take one big piece of metal and they hammer it in Taiwan, not Hong Kong. This is Hong Kong style. And you hammer it until you shape it into a big bell. One piece. E.T. Okay? Okay. Oh well. Very Hong Kong style. Very red. Continue, please. So Chinese.
那么你们都是人才，都是法门的龙象。我为什么？
You are all talented individuals. You are the dragons and elephants in Buddhism. So dragons and elephants are key pieces in Chinese chess, means it's important.
欢喜你们这样学啊！我虽然没有什么本领，我教出一些个徒弟比我有本领。
Why am I so pleased that you have come to learn? Although I don't have any special skills, I want the disciples I teach to develop special skills better than me.
要青出于蓝，青出于蓝，那个青色呀是从蓝色染出来的。
Another way of saying it is that the unlearned. I want my disciples to outshine their teacher. Literally, light green comes forth from dark green. Light green comes from dark green.
又有一句话说：“有状元徒弟，没有状元师傅。”你看种状元那个学生啊，他的老师并不是状元，他的老师啊也是一个普通的秀才呀、举人之类的，不是状元。那么他可以教出状元的徒弟来。
Another way of saying it is that the unlearned teacher has learned disciples. Quite often, a PhD scholar didn't have a PhD teacher. Take note of how an exceptional student often doesn't have exceptional teachers. The teacher might have had a bachelor's or master's degree, not a PhD, and yet that teacher could guide his disciple to reach the level of PhD.
Hey, look at this. See this monk here? I think he returned to lay life. Well, all these early people, they came, they couldn't stay. But look at the 3 scars here. It's very Chinese. You become fully ordained. You take some incense, you burn the scars here as an offering to the Buddhas. It hurts like hell. And it leaves a scar here. And if you return to lay life, your wife's going to ask you what happened to your head. You know? So that's why we don't scar our students, so that when they return to lay life, they don't have to explain to their spouses where they've been. See, he's laughing, you see. When you return to lay life, you're going to be in trouble. Continue, please.
你们现在呀，学这个佛法，你们这个师傅是个业障鬼。为什么讲这个呢？这也是讲众生的根性的。我是业障鬼的根性，你们就是菩提萨法的根性。
Now you who are studying Buddhism have a teacher who is equivalent to a karmic obstacle ghost. Why do I say that? I am talking about the inner nature of sentient beings. I have the inner nature of a karmic obstacle ghost, whereas you have the inner nature of a bodhisattva.
那么要经过一番锻炼，然后会成就的。但是不要生一种依赖性。我在这儿，也就像我没有在这儿一样；我没有在这儿，也就像我在这儿一样。如果你们现在不练习自己自强不息呀，
Look
不
at
知
this,
道
look
哪
at
一
this.
天
Recognize this guy?
会得有什么阿斯顿或
The
者
Berkeley
地震
guy.
把我震到海里去，你们那时候怎么办呢？
You only need to go through some training and you will be able to realize your potential. But in the process, do not become reliant on me. I'm here, but it should be as if I wasn't here. When I am no longer here, it should be as if I'm still here. If you don't practice from now and be diligent in self-cultivation, then if one day there's a disaster or an earthquake that throws me into the sea, what will you do then?
This is Heng Xian here. Here. She looks so much younger than now. She has a PhD from Berkeley. Couple, yeah. I think that's her. She's a lot older now. Okay. Wow, they join him very young, huh? These people are students, mostly, college students. Continue.
你也早就不依赖师傅，那么到有什么问题的时候都不要紧。你们各位呀，要 时刻要努力，要为佛法着想，不要为自己做着想。那么这是很浅显的一个道理，也很要紧的。
But if early on you learned not to rely on your teacher, then when some difficulty arises, you will be fine. All of you should work hard all the time. You should be concerned about the Buddha Dharma. Don't just focus on being concerned about yourself. This is a very simple principle, but it is very important. That's all.
Very good. This gate here, it cost them $80,000 to build it. It should cost around $200,000 for a build structure like this. So they save money. They are very good at saving money. And it's very nicely done too. Have you seen it? The gate there? The triple gate? Okay. That's very Chinese style. Okay, very good. Any questions? Okay, let me explain to you very quickly. This nun here, I think I heard she speak about, mentioning the 6 Patriarch Sutra. And so there are a couple of things here. The question about the toe clippings, and then finally she explained it in terms of the 6 Patriarch Sutra. She's wrong. She explained things like this. I heard her explain in person when I was a novice. I was impressed back then, and now I hear her explain it the same concept again. Now I realize she's wrong. It's not what the 6 Patriarch Sutra is about. Okay, let me explain. Most importantly, I want to explain to you that, in my opinion, she misinterprets the teaching of the 6 Patriarch Sutra. Okay? Master YongHua never really explained that part of the 6 Patriarch Sutra in chapter 10, the last chapter, about the 36 pairs of opposites to them. Okay? So that's why they misinterpret it. Okay? In that particular section of the 6 Patriarch Sutra, what the 6 Patriarch was teaching his enlightened disciples is that when they have to explain the Dharma to people, when people ask you, okay, this is important, listen carefully, when people ask you about the Dharma, okay, then because these disciples, enlightened disciples, are being sent to different parts of China to propagate the Dharma, okay? So they will encounter people who will ask them about, Master, what does paramita mean? Master, what does production mean? Master, what does nirvana mean? All those Buddhist principles, okay? And people come forth and ask you about these concepts, then the way they should answer them is use the opposite of those concepts that shows you understand these concepts, then you also understand the opposite of these concepts. And then you negate the opposite, that's how you explain the question. You understand? So for example, if you ask about nirvana, then what's the opposite of nirvana? Death. Many opposites. One of the opposites is death. Nirvana is absence of death. You are dying. All you are dying because you have not experienced nirvana. Okay? Until you experience nirvana, you die. Nothing you can do about that. The only way for you to stop your death is to enter nirvana. Okay? So, one opposite of nirvana is death. Okay? So, in order to explain nirvana, then you say it's non-death. You explain about death, then you explain how to not die. That is nirvana. Is that clear? That's what the 6th Patriarch trained his disciples. What they have to do with toe clipping, the way Master Shah explained it, clip the top of the head and take out the brain and so forth. Nothing to do with that. You understand? So this woman here is scary, but she doesn't get it. That's why she's scary. Besides, spy number 2, you can go back to tell her that I forgive her because she's old. Huh? You understand? I want you to go back to the 6th page Sutra and read that section again. It's exactly what the great teacher trained. That's how he trained his disciples to answer Dharma questions. Not about the way she explained it at all. Okay, or the way Master Shah explained the toe clippings at all. Yes? Black.
So what did Master YongHua mean when he said that?
Beats me. Okay, but certainly not the way she explained it. Okay? It has nothing to do with opposites. I would not think that toe clippings opposite is your brains. That's nonsense. At least if toe clippings, I would think opposite toe clippings would be fingernail clippings or something. But certainly not my brains. Come on. Yes, Catholic.
I'm just very curious, why did he attract so many hippies?
Translation. If I were to explain it to you, okay, basically, the kitchen guy who asked, I clipped my toes, I didn't know what to do with it, okay, I would have said, what do I do with it? If I were there, okay, whether at the Zen temples or back at Master Shehon's temple, Master Shehon said, what would you say? And he said, I don't know. And he turned back to Master Shehon and said, what would you say? And I would have said, I don't know. It's that simple. So my answer is different from his. I would not take the time to clip out the head, and clip out the brains, and then you enter into all kinds of problems. How do you use a nail clipper to clip off your skull here? That's not easily done. Okay? Why would I want to take out some of my brain, my gray matter? That doesn't make sense to me from a Western educated person. Remember, he's got an 8th grade level education, unlike us. You see that? So each person has a different style. There's no one specific way of answering the thing. My answer would be, I don't know. Or, which if you're smart, you would immediately interpret it as, I don't give a damn about your nail clippings. Why should I answer you? Huh? I don't know how to answer you. I don't know how to answer you in a polite way. I don't know how to answer you without insulting you. I don't know how to answer you. I don't know how to answer such a stupid question. Okay? I don't know how to answer you, stupid Japanese. Okay? But I stop. I don't know. I leave unfinished so that I minimize my insults. Okay? But I wouldn't bother going to clipping my head off and stuff like that. It hurts. You don't want to do that. I'm not a pain. I hate pain. I don't know about you. Q&A, yes.
Thấy chưa? Thì con có ý kiến. Cái người tu, cái mục đích tối cao của họ là cái chân tánh, cái Phật tánh, cái tánh của mình, của các loài á. Thì ông này hỏi móng tay ở đâu? Thì theo học cái bài học của Mã Tổ là mình nói trong cái không nó có cái gì móng tay, móng chân ở trong đó. Không có để đâu. Cái ngũ uẩn gì không?
I think like for us cultivator, the ultimate thing is the Buddha nature. So when he asked about the toenail, is the toenail, it's similar to Matsu. He said that there's nothing there. The five skandha is basically empty. There's nothing in there.
Let me explain to you my interpretation of the question. Basically, this guy from the kitchen is making fun of the new Roshi. He said, on your important day, the day you become the next, the success of the great master, can you answer me a very simple question? Okay? I know you are the knowledge, everything is empty, everything is equal, except for whatever that thing is. I don't even remember what, his teacher transmitted to him. Everything's no high, no low, everything is equal, and except for your navel. I don't care. Okay, whatever nonsense it is. So this guy says, basically, without insulting this guy, he said, oh, by the way, since you know everything is equal, everything is empty, there's no high and low, no toenails, no fingernails, can you tell me how do I dispose, how do I deal with my toenails? Okay? He should have said, as far as I know, it's no different in toenails or fingernails, everything's equal. It's all empty anyway, so why do you worry if I were him, okay? But this guy proved to this new successor that he's an idiot. That's why he asked a stupid question. Okay, you know everything. Can you tell me how to deal with this nonsense thing called toenails? Okay, he's insulting him. Okay, so if you stay with the Dharma, then why it's like you take out a cleaver to cut off your toenails? It's a wrong tool. So I wouldn't even use the Dharma, and that's exactly what Master YongHua did. He says, well, you want me to deal with that? I'll tell you what, cut off your head here and put it in your head. Okay? It's a stupid answer for a stupid question. That's what it means. It had nothing to do with the 36 pairs. You ask me a stupid question, I give you a stupid answer. That's all it means. It's totally stupid to say, clip off this thing here and then lift it and take out a little bit of gray matter and put it in there and sew it back. It's all nonsense because your question is stupid. You get it? It has nothing to do with the Dharma because your question is totally stupid. I'm not going to use my Dharma to answer a stupid question. No? Totally stupid. Yes, black.
Yeah, I thought so too. When Master YongHua said that, I would never expect it to be the opposite, or it to be any sort of profound answer besides just, I'm just going to give a stupid answer to a stupid question.
Because all of you who watch this video, including that woman, that scary woman there, okay, are stuck on one thing. What is that? What are you stuck on? Let me tell you, and then we go to lunch. Enough of this nonsense. You stuck on your words having to make sense. You're attached to whatever you say has to make sense. That's what happened to that new abbot in the Zen temple. That's what happened to this woman who had to explain it to you. Okay? She had to explain it to you because when Master YongHua, in her eyes, whatever my master says, Master YongHua says, it makes sense. What he said is total nonsense to me. It doesn't make sense. I would say, Master, come on. Hey, let's go eat. Let's not waste time. You know? That's all he said. He said he gave a bunch of bull, and she tried to make sense out of it. You see that? So the abbot tried to make sense out of the question. He tried to make sense, give a sensible answer. Okay? This woman tried to make sense. You try to make sense because you say it's Master Shenhua, therefore everything he says has to make sense. Right? No. He said, sheer nonsense. Got that, huh, Spy? Huh? Huh? It's total nonsense. And he made it as the Dharma for them. It goes back all the way back to sixth patriarch. Say what? Yes, Daniel.
I think that I stopped trying to understand Buddhism, so I just hear it, and that's pretty much it.
I find it so insulting. We work so hard. You know how much work it is for us to put this on together? Huh? Have to clean the Buddha hall. We have to turn on the power, turn on the lights, buy those lights here. Change the windows so that it's not too noisy for you. Huh? Have a much nicer environment to impress you a little bit and compare to what he had to work with. And you said, Buddhism doesn't make sense? You're not eating lunch today, my friend. Thank you all. You see that? Isn't that funny? Huh? His comment is not a nonsense thing. Okay, thank you everyone.